Your four favorites are Trouble in Paradise, The Long Goodbye, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, and Orlando. My top choice for you is The Handmaiden. Like Trouble in Paradise, it takes place in the 1930s. At least one of the characters is a con artist, and it's got romance. It's a thriller like The Long Goodbye. It's got strong female characters like Nausicaa, and it has LGBTQ characters like Orlando. I originally wrote down Only Angels Have Wings when I was thinking of Trouble in Paradise because both movies came out in the 1930s and have romance in them. But like Nausicaa, aviation is an important part of this movie. Since Trouble in Paradise is an old Hollywood classic and The Long Goodbye is a neo-noir, I wanted to recommend some old Hollywood classic noir films, such as The Maltese Falcon, Out of the Past, Touch of Evil, In a Lonely Place, Kiss Me Deadly, and Sweet Smell of Success. Seeing Nausicaa in your favorites made me think of quite a few anime films, and Orlando does some really interesting things with time, and two of the anime films I wrote down also do some interesting things with time, and like Orlando could be considered romantic fantasy films, so I definitely think you should check out Millennium Actress and Your Name. You like Trouble in Paradise and have already seen quite a few Ernst Lubitsch movies, but you didn't have The Shop Around the Corner marked as watch, which is arguably his most popular film. And one of the writers, Samson Raphaelson, was one of the writers of Trouble in Paradise. Another Lubitsch-Raphaelson collaboration that I think you should check out is 1 Hour with You. I wasn't intentionally looking for movies that Samson Raphaelson wrote, but I realized there was another movie I wrote down where he was one of the writers, and that's Hitchcock's Suspicion. Since you like The Long Goodbye, I want to recommend another Robert Altman film. And Elliot Gould, the star of The Long Goodbye, has cameos in two of the movies I wrote down, The Player and Nashville. But two other movies I just get the feeling you might like since you like The Long Goodbye are Night Moves and Mikey and Nikki. Since you like Nausicaa, another Miyazaki movie that you didn't have marked as watched is Castle in the Sky, which has a few references to Nausicaa in it, including these fox squirrels. The first movie that came to mind when I watched Orlando was The Favorite, and I was mainly thinking of the costumes. Coincidentally, Sandy Powell was the costume designer for both films. Velvet Goldmine was another one that came to mind, and again, same costume designer. But I also think you might like A Room with a View, My Brilliant Career, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant, Corsage, and Colette. Since Orlando spans centuries, I was trying to think of other movies that depict large passages of time, and I think you might like The Beast and A Ghost Story, which was inspired by the works of Virginia Woolf, including her novel Orlando. The movie even opens with a quote from her short story, A Haunted House.